Hi, I'm Kim Coco. Today's class is going to be an all-around 90-minute yin to free up space in the hips as well as around the shoulders and the head and neck. That was brought to me by special request, so we're going to get it all. This is something that I use regularly in my week, especially now that it's a very busy season in my work and my dog just had puppies. So it's a busy household to say the least, and this is just a really nice practice to get me feeling balanced and grounded and happy again. So that being said, I recommend grabbing a strap if you have one, or a towel, a block, and a bolster. Again, pillows, additional blankets can be helpful as well. Any props that you need. So we're going to go ahead and get started right away today. So go ahead and grab your strap. And actually, if you have a small loop in your strap, you have a couple different options for how we go about this. I recommend starting with a nice big, generous loop, and then as we get into this, you can decide which option you want to take. So go ahead and we'll start on your back. And we're first off going to just get into the hamstrings, because if you're like me, you might sit a lot during your day, and it's very helpful to just loosen up this area that gets tight. So we'll just start by bending the knees, and actually let the knees drop together momentarily. Let your hands rest on your belly. And we'll just take a minute or so to transition very consciously from whatever's happened in your day into this moment. So let the next few breaths really wash over you as a way to cleanse out the old and make room for the new. And taking this stillness into our practice, or moving from maybe a busy mind and day into your practice. Take your next breath in and fill up. Offer it through your mouth, let it go. As you inhale again, just blink your eyes open and grab your strap. We're going to go ahead and leave the left foot on the floor to start, and then you have a couple different options. You can loop the strap up around your right ball mount of the foot, and you can literally hold on with both arms straight up in the air to make it easier. If you want to give your upper body a break, then you have the option to create a nice loop with your strap in such a way that it would actually go from the ball mount of your foot to the occiput of your head, so that nice little base of the skull that helps kind of balance you out. Sorry, you might get a little shock with the microphone there, so hopefully that's okay. And then you can literally let this balancing act happen between your head and your leg. So again, arms up to hold your leg, or your head can rest in your nice little hammock there. We're going to go ahead and take about 5 minutes on each side. So decide where you want to be. You can choose to keep the left leg bent, or slowly begin to straighten that left leg out along the floor. And then take a moment to let your arms be wide, so almost like a nice T position. Roll the shoulder blades down away from the ears. If you have the left leg extended, go ahead and allow it to be almost as though you were in shavasana, so that there's no additional tension being created here. It's not a very active form of our practice in this yin yoga. And whether you have your arms reaching on the strap or your head balancing the opposite end of the strap, can you begin to let the back of your head get heavier? Can you let your jaw soften? Can you start to send the breath down to the back side of your right leg, keeping a softness behind the right knee, but yet a sense of energy reaching up through the right heel, the inner and outer edge of the right foot, even a spaciousness still between the toes on the right foot. Feel the right hip move just slightly away from the right side ribs. And then notice the natural broadening of the collarbones here. So even though the upper body might still be engaged slightly if you're holding your leg up with the strap? Can you let the front of the shoulder melt into the back of the shoulder, which drops toward your mat? And then using the breath as a way to transition into the moment, see if you can find a nice rhythmic breath in that matches the length of the breath out. Again, just allowing each cycle of breath to really begin to wash away anything that is no longer serving you in your day, or even the things that were great, being less emotionally attached, accepting all of it as part of your experience, as a way to learn and grow. But most importantly, being able to remove yourself from whatever has happened and bring yourself to right now, starting with the rhythm of your breath. A little over halfway here now, so see if you can sink in, combining that slower rhythm of breath with a little bit of heaviness in the body, so that with every exhale you might even start to melt down into your mat a bit more. The back of your head resting heavy, the back of your left leg resting heavy if it's extended, and even letting the tongue relax at the base of your mouth. And then slow down your rhythm of breath for this next minute or so. Maybe already being able to track a 5-count breath in with a 5-count breath out. If not, coming sporadically to that focus on your breath and just allowing the mind to still kind of let go of whatever's still flooding your synapses. We're in information overload. So can you just let that information pass through and not get stuck on any one thought? On your next inhale, fill up deeply. And then as you exhale, release your strap. Hug the right knee in toward your chest. Maybe roll out the ankle slightly. Maybe move the knee around in a circle or two, or just side to side. And then extend your right leg long next to your left, and just pause for a moment and notice how just a few minutes in, you're already creating such a difference in the body. And set yourself up for the second side. So rebend both knees, placing the soles of the feet about hip distance apart to start. Grabbing your strap once again, looping it up this time around the ball mount of the left foot. Reaching that left leg up to the ceiling or up toward the ceiling. Same options apply. Both arms to reach up the strap. And I recommend keeping your arms straight if you're taking this option, only because it's really nice to have the leverage of the bone, the heaviness of the bone on bone to help hold the leg up. And if you're choosing the looped variation around the back of your head, just notice that one side might be very different than the other, so you might have to adjust your loop accordingly. But set yourself up as you need to. Feel that left hip move away from the left side ribs, and then decide if you want to keep that right leg bent or if you want to extend it out. And then we're going to have our 5 minutes on this side. So start by checking in. You can keep your arms out to the side. You might be like me and have to move a few things already if you want to mix it up a little. You might already want to take some bent elbows, more like cactus arms, if that's going to feel good for you, to get into the shoulders and the chest right off the bat. Or you can keep the arms out to the side. Again, finding a place that's going to feel good to you at about 50% of what you're capable of so that you can really rest into this posture. Can you imagine the inner left thigh and the inner left thigh and outer left thigh reaching toward the edge of your mat equally, reaching up through the left heel, but still keeping that gentle awareness behind the left kneecap. Allowing the head to get heavier, whether your back of your head's on the floor or on your strap. Slowing down the breath again. As you begin to remain here longer, notice if you can minimize any fidgeting. Let yourself begin to rest into this space that you're creating by this posture. If you have the right leg extended, allow gravity to melt it into your mat. The back of your pelvis sinking down, back of your shoulders dropping in as though they were going to create a nice imprint on your mat. About 1 more minute here. So that could be 6 counts of breath. Stay for your next breath in and fill up deeply. Exhale it out completely. At the end of the exhale, slowly begin to release your strap. Bend your left knee in toward your chest. Maybe roll around the left ankle a few times. Maybe move the whole left leg side to side slightly or around in a circle or two, just to massage out that hip socket. And then coming back to a shavasana position for a moment. You set your strap aside. We're done with it for the next few moments. Check in, notice the freedom in the back of the legs, the hips, maybe the low back even. And then begin to feel your belly button draw lightly towards your spine so you engage your core just to activate the legs. So bring them hip distance apart, flex the feet, Supta Tadasana here. And then feel the legs engaged, feel your low back just lightly press down towards the floor, like almost you wouldn't even see it on camera, just that small. And then so from that nice strong core, walk your feet over to the lower right corner of your mat. And then we're going to go ahead and take a nice banana shape with the posture of the body, moving the right shoulders to the upper right corner of the mat. And then you have a couple different options. You can just take your arms out to the side. You can bend the elbows. You might even reach the left hand back for the right tricep somewhere and then weave that right hand back behind the left. The deepest variation might be to cross the left ankle over the right. So we're going to be here for 5 minutes, getting into our banana asana in yin. And see if once you're here, you can feel this left hip heavy, the left shoulder heavy, the back of your head resting on either your forearms, your mat. And then breathe more deeply into the space between your left hip and your left side ribs. And then notice the space between the ribs on the left side of your rib cage. Moving that awareness up all the way underneath the left armpit. And I think I so enjoy side stretches, one because they're challenging in their own way, but also because they really affect the area of the body that helps us with our decision making. And I've been going through different lessons that remind me to slow it down, take it easy, and not to really push things to happen. I can set out the intention, have clarity, be curious as to how things are going to come about, do my due diligence, and take action when necessary, but action that's really purposeful, making connections that are more meaningful instead of just really forcing things to happen. The energy is so different between the two. So as you sit here and let the body rest down in your mat still and breathe into this whole left side line of the body, just notice where you're already finding some ease in the actions you're taking. Some ease in plans that are coming together. Maybe an ease in which you're approaching something new. or acknowledging in the ways in which you're slowing down before you take action at all. And then just notice where your mind goes. If you're still able to stay focused on those areas of ease or deliberate action. Or if your mind begins to wander, can you just bring it back to the breath? To that space you're creating on this whole left side. Remembering to back off at all if it's challenging to breathe or you feel any strain. And definitely backing off if you feel any pain. Your next breath in, go ahead and slowly unwind your body back to the center. Unwind your arms first. Bring your upper body back to neutral. Unwind the legs if you had them crossed. Look down, maybe lift your head, look down at your feet. Make sure you're starting from that nice even place. Lightly engage your abdomen, lengthening your tailbone towards your heels. As you extend through the feet, point the toes to the ceiling. Keep melting the upper body, but then walk your feet to the left. A lot or a little enough that the right hip can stay grounded. And then from that grounded place, moving your upper body up to the left corner of your mat. So you're making this nice C shape with your torso. Again, taking the arm position that you chose on the first side. The alternate option being if you had the arms crossed behind your head, decide which forearm you had on top and then switch that around. So that each shoulder gets a little TLC. And then same action applies, second side. And by action, I really mean no action. You get to hang out, watch the behavior of the mind, and begin to settle more deeply into your breath as the right hip grounds. You breathe space into the right side body, right side ribs, right side armpits, even tricep. As you let the head get heavier and the jaw soften and even your eyes rest deeper into your face. And even as you keep a deeper breath here, maybe you search out those areas that are tight by expanding the breath just a touch more, allowing gravity to help sink you deeper every breath out. Notice how any ease is infusing your posture right now. If that's the posture of your body or the stance of your mind. Got about another minute here, so savor it. Your next inhale, go ahead and fill up deeply. Let it go through your nose or your mouth. Slowly unwind your arms, your torso, your legs. Maybe even bend the knees this time. Let the feet rest wide. Drop the knees together. If you had your arms behind your head, notice any blood running back out to the arms. As a sensation. Maybe notice the length on the IT band, the outer edge of the legs, the hips, the sides of the body. And then with that awareness, hug the knees into your chest, rock a little side to side, maybe roll over to one side and press yourself up to a seat. Or rock and roll your way up a few times, making your way to a nice seated position. And then go ahead and grab your props. Depending on your flexibility level, you may or may not need more props. Just depends, see how you feel. Kind of middle of the road. So if you have less flexibility, you might want to use the seat of a chair to lean forward into. If you're more flexible, you might not need props at all. What we're going to do to start out, we'll go ahead and start on the left leg out and the right knee bent in. So a nice wide, almost like you take a wide-legged V posture, except we're going to bend the knee. You can place a blanket under your seat if you want to lift your hips up slightly. You can place a blanket under your knee if you need to slightly. But ideally, we'll start by taking the hands out to the sides of the body, pressing the floor away, lifting and lengthening each side of the body, and then just slightly turn your torso in between your bent knee and your extended leg. So we're going to go about 50-50. We're going to split that gap with our torso. So you might be just staying more upright. This could be your pose. If you can lean forward just lightly, maybe you rest your head on the seat of a chair. Maybe you can grab your bolster. I'm going to use a block and kind of prop myself up, because as I lift and lengthen and turn my spine to the left slightly, I'm not going to make it just due to my flexibility level, which is okay. And then I can stay here. You can walk your hands out, adjust your props as you need to so that you can find some ease. Again, we're going to be here probably about 4 minutes total. So feel that left leg heavy down to the ground, and then feel all 5 toes on the left foot point up. But then can you soften the foot? So we actively engage first and then let the leg rest, and then let gravity drop the right knee to the ground or toward the ground. Maybe even prop something up under the knee so you have something to press against. And then can you feel your sitting bones level? Maybe you re-lengthen your spine. And then go ahead and turn your head to one side or rest your forehead on your hands, but let the body get as heavy as you can comfortably. And just by setting up the anatomy, you're already here about a minute. So take your time. We're going to ease on in. Just noticing now how the length that you've created on your back for each side of the body can maybe help open up some space for the lumbar spine and your folds. Let the shoulder blades stay down away from your ears so that all 4 sides of the neck can remain long. And then with your eyes closed, tune into which sitting bone feels heavier. One might feel like it's popping up slightly, and instead of forcing it back to the ground, can you just imagine gravity making it a bit heavier? So we're keeping that theme of ease and patience and incremental movements, whether you see them this session or not. It's less about that gross change we see and more about the momentary changes that we're choosing to make just by our attention and our awareness and our choice to be here on the mat. And now that you're about halfway through, can you settle in, maybe adjust, maybe re-lengthen the front side of the body? Or maybe you find a way to back off a little bit more or ease in a bit more, listening to your body along the way. Next breath in, slowly begin to make your way back upright. We're going to go ahead and this time turn your torso over the right knee. You might choose to keep your bolster placed over the left leg, however you may need to. We're going to turn to face that right side of your mat, turn your torso over the right bent knee, and then take that right arm, weave it back behind you. So you're going to internally rotate, then turn the thumb and the palm towards the back of the room, and imagine you're going to reach and tuck in your shirt in the back behind you, or reach around for your left thigh. And then we're going to turn the torso to the right, and then slowly begin to tip your torso to the left. So your body turns to the right, you lean to the left, getting a nice side body stretch, and then hopefully you can let the head and neck drop into your hand. So you get a nice neck stretch here on the whole right side. And feel the right ribs draw back in space and the left ribs draw towards the front of your mat. So you're still imagining your heart turning to face the front of your mat. But let your head and neck get heavier. Even if you're more upright and you can just drop the left ear to the left shoulder, that might feel really nice. Again, if you feel any pain sensations, back off. But if you just feel a general sense of tightness, it can be nice to stay, really working into the deeper fascia of the muscles, into the joints, creating a nice safe place in which the body can open. And you might notice that these safe times, nurturing times for you on your mat might go really fast. So 4 minutes in a pose sometimes might not seem like enough. So if you do want to hit the pause button and stay for an extra couple minutes on each side in a pose that you really like or feel that you need on any given day, please do so. Make this practice yours. I definitely know my husband at times wants me to come to bed sooner, but it just feels so good to stretch on the floor at the foot of the bed before crawling in to catch some Z's. And then just notice the change in your breathing pattern as a result of changing your posture. And can you keep the breath as open and deep as possible? About halfway through. So can you feel your sitting bones just lightly tilting forward? Weight even, right to left. But then also a sense of leisurely expansion as you roll back with the right shoulder blade, as though you're going to almost lean back over the left leg and chill out, as though this were the most comfortable position in the world. If you do have your head in your hand, make sure the left shoulder stays down away from the ears. And let the left side of your head get heavier. Go ahead and take your next breath in here and fill up. Exhale the breath all the way back out. Let the left side of your head stay heavy and start to come up with your inhale, allowing your torso to come up first, then the shoulders, then the head, lightly pressing the head back to neutral with the left hand. Go ahead and set your props aside. We're going to take the right knee and turn it to the front side of your mat, or adjust yourself as you need to come to pigeon pose. Reclined figure 4 shape is also an option, but allowing the right knee to come out at an angle to the right side of the right hip, squaring your hips to the front of your mat, allowing the top of the left foot and the left thigh to press down as you lengthen your spine up. And maybe you slowly start to hinge and fold forward. Maybe you choose to rest on your forearms. Maybe you place the block underneath your right hip if you need to. And then we've got about 3 minutes on each hip. You might even stack your hands, make fists, and give your forehead a little kickstand. But can you notice a sense of levelness in the back of the pelvis? So just maybe even take your hand to the sacrum there, the rim of your pelvis, and notice how you feel. And then just breathe. Make that your one and only thing to do. Not only using a breath as a way to cleanse and make space, but really as a way to connect you with that best version of yourself. Because it's always there within us, ready to be tapped into. And this time in a nice still practice tends to make that best version of us more vivid, more attainable, even just more approachable and more enticing. Take a moment to just lightly engage, drawing the right knee back and that left hip forward, as though you're going to draw your muscular energy towards your hips as you draw in, so that you feel a sense of engagement and centeredness, and then maybe let the hips drop down once again. So just a few shorter holds to kind of awaken the hips. Take another 3 rounds of breath here. And then on your 4th inhale, slowly begin to walk your hands back up. Roll onto the outer edge of your right hip. Swing your legs out in front of you and pause in shavasana, however you want to get there. Extending your legs, letting your back be supported by the ground beneath you. Just saying hello to the changes you've made after that short sequence. One side might feel drastically different than the other, and just enjoy that, the contrast. Ask yourself, how might you be able to rest with a sense of ease in the midst of contrast, of things that might be momentarily disharmonious or uncertain? And can this sense of groundedness and support beneath you serve as momentary evidence that you are supported, that there is a solution, and it's there waiting for you when you can rest in the moment and become aware of it. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Maybe take a nice stretch before you hug your knees into your chest and rock a little side to side. Maybe even take a half happy baby or a happy baby. Maybe take Supta Upavishta Konasana, spreading the legs. Again, whatever is going to feel the best to you to kind of neutralize after one side. And then we're going to make your way back to a seat. So however you want to get there, roll over to one side or rock your way up. You know what's coming this time. So as you're ready, extend your right leg out long. Take your hands back behind you or by the side of each hip, maybe after you've grabbed your props. Move the flesh out from underneath the sitting bones and start to lift and lengthen your torso and turn it out over your right leg or directly in between that right extended leg and the bent left knee. So as you lengthen, you can stay here. Just let the head and neck drop. Keep the heart lifting. Maybe if you feel comfortable, you can slowly begin to walk your torso forward. Just be aware that this side might be very different than the first. Being okay with that. And being able to rest in what is. So finding a nice, comfortable place to rest first. And then if you get to go deeper, great. If not, be less attached to the depth of the pose, but more so the quality of it. Start with your foundation. Feel the right leg lightly pressing into your mat, activating the toes so they point up to the ceiling, reaching out through the right heel, but then softening so there's still a sense of connection between the back of the right leg and the floor. And then notice how your hips feel, which pelvis or which side of the pelvis is higher, and can you drop the other sitting bone to the ground so they both drop down equally. And maybe back off of your fold just slightly enough to re-lengthen the front line of the body before you maybe fold in a little bit deeper. And then as you reach your halfway point, can you deepen your breath even more so? Or maybe you begin to focus on slowing down the exhale a bit more to really ramp up the parasympathetic nervous system for relaxation. On your next inhale, slowly walk your hands back up. Set your props over to the right leg if you're using them. Take your right hand in front of you and your left hand behind you and start to twist to the left. Take your left hand, maybe inner spiral the hand, turn the palm towards the back of the room or the back of your mat, and then reach around for the back of your body or your right thigh. Keep the length on the right and left side of the body, and then go ahead and begin to take yourself into a nice side bend. And we've prepped a little bit of this by being on our back earlier. So can use that length that you've already created to help you settle in, maybe a bit quicker here. But notice that the left shoulder drops down away from the left ear, especially as your right cheek and your right ear can drop down towards your right shoulder, and then the right shoulder can again drop away from the right ear, so that your head can rest heavy in your hand somewhere. Or if you're more upright, just maybe the right ear can drop toward the right shoulder comfortably. Can you begin to settle in so that you leisurely lean back over that left forearm, left collarbone stays broad, and you might even notice a difference right to left depending on how you utilize your shoulder girdle on this left side in an everyday kind of situation, whether it's more mobile or less mobile than your right, just depending on which hand you're more dominant with. Our habitual patterns of how we do things on a daily basis. But whatever you're working with, can you settle in? Continually let your jaw soften, your eyes relax. And then stay with your deeper rhythm of breath for your last 2 minutes on this side. You've got 3 more rounds of breath on this side. Again, it's your practice. If you do want to stay longer, make sure you honor that, along with your time frame in which to practice. Keep this heaviness in your head as you slowly release that left arm and bring your torso back up to center. Let your head and neck be the very last thing that comes up. Set your props aside. Pigeon pose, second side. So when you're ready, go ahead and bend the left knee, left shin, 45-degree angle, or more so if you have a greater sense of flexibility. Square your hips and your chest to the short edge of your mat. Draw the shoulder blades down the back, maybe look up, and then take your time to fold. Got 3 minutes here to second side. Just notice what you're working with. Feel a slight hugging in of the left shin pressing into the ground and the right hip moving forward. Maybe even re-lengthening the front side of the body. And using that sense of muscular energy to help you perhaps settle in a bit deeper for the second half. Or just notice the difference between engaging and hugging in towards the midline versus letting go and letting yourself rest down. Notice if you can soften your fingers, your throat, your head for the last 3 long cycles of breath. And then use your next breath in to come back up. Go ahead and roll over onto one side. Pause in shavasana. Once again, feeling yourself down on the ground. Maybe a windshield wiper the legs so you can feel the hips relaxed. Notice a more symmetrical way in which your body can rest and feel supported. On your next breath in, fill up, stretch long. As you exhale, hug the knees back into the chest. Another round. Again, a happy baby is an option. Just rock a little side to side. Maybe take the knees in some circles to massage out the low back. And then when you're ready, again, making your way back to a seat. And we're going to get into the front of the legs. And we'll allow the chest to open in saddle pose. So if you have knee issues, you might want to just take a supported bridge pose and take your bolster or your block underneath your hips. If your knees feel okay, then what I recommend doing, propping yourself up on a medium level block or high if you have a really tense low back. We're going to go ahead and actually sit on the heels and then take the knees wide. So we'll actually take the feet by the bolster, take your knees wide on your mat. And again, you can prop up extra blankets or towels on your bolster to make the bolster a little bit higher and make the back bend less significant, but we're still going to get in the whole front line of the body. And we'll do so, again, we'll try to balance out the asymmetrical poses with the symmetrical poses so you can feel a little bit better. So lift the hips away from the heels, tuck the tailbone, and then slowly begin to descend your body down onto your props. You might want to choose to just rest your arms by your side at first. You might want to stretch the arms up overhead, thumbs toward the back of your mat, palms facing one another, and maybe you want to stretch the arms up overhead, maybe interlace all the fingers except the 4 fingers, and just notice a nice additional stretch into the sides of the body. Again, I like to offer different options for your yin practice because you're unique and every day is different. And sometimes you feel like more and sometimes you feel like less. And maybe you choose to keep your arms up overhead for a longer period of time, or maybe just that was enough to re-lengthen both sides of the body evenly so that you can let your arms rest down and you can feel the heart open as you rest down over your bolster. So we're going to be here for a few minutes, and by a few, probably 6 or 7. So this is a posture in which it's really important to honor how you feel. If you feel any strain in the low back, prop yourself up. If you feel tension in the knees, maybe place a blanket between your calves and your hamstrings or underneath your shins, right around the ankles. Or maybe shift your leg position altogether to take supported bridge pose. Celebrate the change in your mental space after an hour of your practice. Celebrate the change you already might feel in your body. And the sense of softness that you're cultivating to be present and aware and purposeful in how you carry yourself throughout the rest of your daily life, so that this time on your mat doesn't become simply a form of exercise or just physical practice, but a training ground for living a more full, vibrant experience, so that your whole life really becomes your practice. Turn into a deeper breath if you've let it go. Still allowing the back side of the body to get heavier with every exhale. And then in these next few minutes here, can you redirect your gaze so that you're equally aware of what you're experiencing right now, but you're also creating this platform for your next experience, your next interaction. Noticing what attributes you'd like to take with you into that experience. What attitudes best serve you as you meet with others, or even how you approach yourself. Feel comfortable taking one nice long stretch overhead with your arms again. Maybe do so for a couple rounds of breath. When you are ready to come out of your gentle back bend, slowly and evenly as possible, bring yourself up. And you can stay for a moment sitting with your hips on your heels, hopefully not feeling any crunchiness in the low back. You might choose to stay seated for just a moment or two. You might also like to tuck the toes under, take a few rounds of cat-cow, or even tuck the toes under and take a round of down dog, maybe pedaling out the feet. But most importantly, just re-lengthening the front and the back side of the body evenly. from wherever you are. Slowly begin to drop your knees back onto your mat. Come onto one side, facing probably the side edge of your mat if you're not there already. And we're going to go ahead and take cat pulling its tail. So you're going to have lots of different options here. So start by coming onto your right hip, and then place your right elbow underneath your right shoulder with your forearm 90 degrees from your body. And then the first option would be to kind of just stay here with your knees bent and this whole right side of the body stacking. Second option is to extend your top leg out to the side of your mat. It might only come part way, it might come up more 90 degrees toward the hip, and you can stay right here with the bottom knee just lightly bent, or you can even straighten that bottom leg. Next option would be to bend your bottom knee and reach back for your right foot. Now, whatever leg variation you're taking, see if you can press the floor away lightly with your right forearm, but let the right side body drop to the ground, and then let your right ear drop toward your right shoulder. So you're going to get another neck stretch as we move into this head, neck, shoulders, and hips class. And we're going to be here for about 3 minutes, and then we'll take a more gentle spinal twist from this position. So let everything rest as best you can. It is a little active. If you do have your top leg extended out, maybe just lightly flex the foot. And see if you can settle in. Again, with yin, it's not totally restorative. We do put ourselves in some poses where enough muscular engagement is necessary to keep you there, but then we're going to use this space to help release stuck tension in the body. Use that minimal amount of effort to help find the balance of really using our energy and relaxing into what we've already created. So believe it or not, you're probably halfway there with all my jabbering. So let your head drop a little heavier, the right side body drop heavier, and then breathe to wherever you feel it most. Take your next 3 rounds of breath slowly and deliberately. On your next inhale, slowly release your bottom leg if you have it bind. Go ahead and come onto your back from where you're at, carefully. And then we'll take the twist in the same direction. So once you're on your back, shift your hips an inch or two to the left. You can keep your knees stacked one on top of each other, or you can cross the left knee over to the right and then drop your knees to the right, and you can prop up the knees on a block if you need to, or your bolster if it's still handy, and then take any arm position that feels good, arms out at a T, maybe even cactus arms again. Boop, get creative, but get cozy, most importantly. I like to prop up my legs so that my left shoulder can drop down more to the ground, and then I can get sometimes a more needed shoulder stretch than a spinal twist, but oftentimes I can get a little bit deeper if I stay, and sometimes I can't. It's just a matter of the day, but Again, work with your palate of your body in just a nice soft way. On your next breath in, slowly take your knees back to the center. Uncross them if you have had them crossed. And then roll onto your right side. Reach that left arm up towards the ceiling. We're going to inner spiral that left arm. So I'll turn around so you can actually see where I'm going with this. We're going to reach that left arm up. Inner spiral it, reach it back behind you as though you're going to tuck in your shirt one more time. If you're more flexible, maybe you walk the hand up like you would take reverse Anjali Mudra. And then we're going to roll onto your back. So again, we're going to get one more shoulder stretch here on this side before we switch. So you can do anything with that right arm that feels comfortable. You might need to take half Gomukhasana and create a pillow with your right forearm. But see if you can bend the knees, let the knees knock together. As your feet take a little wider stance on your mat than your hips. And let the back side of the body get heavier. Back of your head get heavier. And just make sure there's no tension in the back of the left shoulder girdle or down the left arm. Has residual pain. We don't want that. So if you've gone too far, roll back to your right side, loosen it up a bit, and return back to your pose. Again, you can stay longer if you'd like. Otherwise, just enjoy the sensation. Remove your right arm if you have it behind you in any way. Roll back to your right side. Pause onto your back after the left arm's been removed. Notice the blood rushing back to your left arm. And then we're going to go right to the second side. So roll over onto your left side this time. Set yourself up in a way that's going to support you. So left elbow under left shoulder. Press the floor with the left forearm to lengthen the whole left side of the body. Right knee can stack on top of the left. You can stay and drop the left ear to the left shoulder. You can take that left leg out a little or a lot. I'm sorry, right leg out to the left side of the body. I'm in a very relaxed head space too. And then again, you have the option to reach back for the left quadricep stretch by grabbing the foot or the ankle. And if you are grabbing, make sure you keep the right hip stacked on top of the left and let the left ear drop down to the left shoulder. And allow every exhale to drop the side of the ribs to the floor. The left ear to the left shoulder. The left hip softening to the ground so the right can effortlessly stack on top of it. And as we're nearing the end of our practice, can you let go of the rhythm of the breath consciously? Watch the body breathe itself, observing that pattern. Appreciating the amazing work that the body does to keep you alive and well, finding balance at all times, without you really having to interject yourself into the equation. Just does it on its own. You're ready to unwind, slowly release the bottom leg if you have it. Unwind, lifting yourself off of your forearm to come onto your back. Make sure your hips are nice and neutral to start. Then shift them an inch or two to the right. Maybe you can cross the right knee over the left. And drop your knees over to the left. Finding any arm position that's going to work for your gentle spinal twist. And relishing this time of stillness. Again, as you inhale, make your way back up just enough to uncross your legs if you need them. Otherwise, stay on your left side, reach the right arm towards the ceiling, inner spiral that right arm, reach back behind you, just for the low back or even up the back. Taking the last variation of shoulder stretch here, with the right arm behind the body and the left arm either out to the side or almost like Gomukhasana arms, except without the need to grasp fingers. Just get heavier. Allow the quiet to become louder. Slowly begin to rock back onto your left side so your right arm can be removed gently. And then take shavasana, stretch yourself out. You again lift your head to look down at your feet, make sure your legs are symmetrical, your arms are symmetrical. And then scan your body from head to toe, noticing any differences that you feel now from when you unrolled your mat 90 minutes ago. Honoring the fact that you're not the same person you're not the same person now that you were when you started your practice. These effects are lasting. And oftentimes I think far more powerful than we give credit for. For it is in the stillness that we do connect with that best version of ourselves, and to act with more deliberate purpose and clarity and focus. In my world, hopefully a lot more joy and enthusiasm and fun. Characteristics I always like to carry with me into my interactions. Stay if you have the time. Otherwise, ever so effortlessly make your way to a seat. Bringing your hands to your heart center and bowing your gaze. And thanking yourself for this time on your mat today. So thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.